Hello, everybody. This is Thursday, November 16th, episode 59 of Block Digest. And today, it's block 504,038 on the only blockchain that matters, Bitcoin Clashic.
We still got that Clashic moving, huh?
But today, we are joined by Mr. Rick, our resident meme master.
Hey, everyone. How are y'all?
Miss Janine, our researcher.
Hello, everyone.
And Mr. Actnix. Is the CIA harassing you today?
What's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
All right. So I guess today's first story is oops, ads. Janine's gonna yell at me. Something I have been predicting for a long time, actually. Coinbase is spinning off a subsidiary, Coinbase Custody, to handle securing digital assets for institutional investors. And one of the big things they're noting is by their estimates, at least, and not betting they're that off considering all the connections the company has. They're estimating around $10 billion of institutional money waiting to get into the crypto space at this time. And it's quite a lot of money. And I'm sure as most of us know, that's not just $10 billion added. It's going to be a lot more because it's not the simple way that markets work. The feature list is pretty much everything you would expect to people who are just completely clueless from a technical angle, but very interested in getting into the crypto space. They are going to set up an audit system, a multi-signature setup for handling the keys, limits for moving and withdrawing, dedicated account representatives. So each firm that takes advantage of this service is going to have a single support person that they can contact at all times. It's not going to be like customer support that us plebs have to deal with. Insurance in some cases, support for multiple currencies, and obviously they're saying, hey, we're regulated. And to Coinbase's credit, despite how shitty a lot of their services as far as facing the users, they actually do have a very secure cold storage setup. So I think that's something to just be intellectually honest. You gotta give them credit for. And the interesting last note here was, how much is this? $10 million is the minimum requirement. So this is something out of the reach of plebs. This is them pivoting to essentially cater exclusively to institutional investors with this product. And I mean, it's kind of, at least in my opinion, been the obvious move I've been waiting to see. Like, there isn't really any as tightly regulated or managed institution in the United States. So it's just more groundwork for the big money to come in. You got something to say, Rick?
Yeah, this move that their Coinbase is doing, it kind of reminds me of Circle, how they made their move away from smaller investors towards bigger investors in OTC trades and exclusively. And I've just like being in the rooms, I've heard chatter that they really didn't, come out good on that deal. That whenever they left behind the little guy, it was a big part of their business. They weren't expecting to, have that much of an impact on them. So I just hope that, with this news that, Coinbase doesn't forget about the little guy that helped make them. Because, this like simply allowing people in that have $10 million to invest, it's like we were saying, just about limiting on-ramps. And, if their, smaller side service shuts down, but this still is available, it would really limit who could invest there. But hopefully with newcomers like Square, we can see some sort of competition, and, maybe Circle will get back into that small man game if Coinbase feels like stepping out of it, because it's certainly not, it's not like they're losing money selling to the small guy. So hopefully they'll just keep that going too.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely something I've been a little worried about over the years, is some kind of snatch and grab or bait and switch happen where you have all of these exchanges roll out institutionally catered on ramps and off ramps, and then just kind of close the little guy out. Honestly, over the past maybe 6 months or so, seeing how things are developing, worried about that as I used to be, just because, I mean, if they do that, then like it's not going away. It's not like it's impossible for little guys to get their hands on Bitcoin. They're just going to do it OTC. They're going to do it through things like BISC or local Bitcoins. And then there's really nothing they can do to keep an eye on it or try to regulate it. So I think they're going to kind of try to play that middle ground there and not just totally push some place that they can't really keep an eye on.
Yeah, you know, like when Circle made their move away from the little guy, I was thinking about going to local Bitcoins and moving towards just like going person to person or ATMs. And, you know, Coinbase just has that convenience to where it's easy to make that purchase. And, you know, it'd be nice if that option's still available for us. But like you're saying, you know, even if they do sort of cancel us out, there's other routes, and you know, new things are coming on, like we're going to talk about with like atomic swaps and stuff, where you know, you could get something else and then get Bitcoin pretty efficiently that way too. So I think that, yeah, you know, maybe they're going to try and limit on ramps, or maybe they're not necessarily trying to, but they are. And so hopefully, though, this tech, as it builds up, we'll start to see more on ramps through different avenues that we didn't quite think were there.
Mm-hmm. And I guess another piece of information from Coinbase. I'm sure a lot of people got a big laugh looking at this, as a lot of the responses indicate. But I once again feel obliged to give them credit for something that I don't want to, because as Bitcoin Clashic has clearly demonstrated, going to happen with a blockchain you assume is dead on the vine.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, I don't know. You know, we were talking earlier in the Mumble, or I heard some conversation back and forth how there's, you know, there's still a futures price for Segwit 2x. And I guess that's not going to disappear until we know that it's not going to happen. Like, it's still suspended for another 12 hours or so. And I guess it could pop up. But I mean, like, if there's something we are seeing with this Bcash, Bclashic, and just the way that these forks are playing out, is like, it really is like a Pandora's box. And, you know, you're always going to be forking from an original to, you're going to be creating something new. It's really interesting computer science going on right now, economic and computer science. And, you know, this is just, this is why I'm here, man. This shit's interesting. It's fun to watch, but, yeah, it's still kind of hard to see how it's all going to play out, other than the fact that, you know, these things are not clearly defined yet.
Maybe that's why Barry Shilbert hasn't said anything yet, because they're planning a revival.
I think you might be right on that, because, yeah, I've seen some speculation on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, why didn't he say anything? It's like, I don't know. Hopefully we can get past this night without the fork, and maybe he'll come back around.
Maybe he'll announce ETC 2x.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility in the longer term, but I'm not worried about them jumping right back to this deadline in this code base. But I mean, I do think there is a very good reason why they called it off said time as we think a block size increase is necessary. Like, they're going to come back and they're going to try this bullshit again.
New York Agreement 2.0 coming soon.
It makes me wonder.
Or is it,
Sorry,
or is it Hong Kong Agreement 3.0?
Yeah, that too.
It's going to be another agreement, but it's like backdoor. We don't know about it. And, you know, I don't know. It just makes me wonder. I know that we're about to get into this blockchain.info and their Segwit adoption and like their dates and stuff. It makes me wonder. It does give them time to sort of cause some network congestion to say, yeah, it's necessary again. It's like, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, like Janine, you pointed out a while ago, it seems like all of these fork attempts seem to like start in like middle of summer and then roll through and like come to a head sometime in like fall, like August, September, October, and this has been happening for 3 years.
If you go to the wiki for like Bitcoin, there's a wiki that gives a list of all the Bitcoin forks, and I think obviously ignoring Dash and Litecoin and Zcash, I think every one except for, because Bitcoin Cash started earlier this year, but every other, I think, but almost all of the forks start in August. Not only fall, but August. They all start in August. It's really weird. A bunch of them. It's like every year we have to go through the same bullshit.
It's like a movie script. Exactly right.
I wonder what we're going to be. Next year is going to be the round of government forks, I'm guessing. Just going to guess.
No, next year it's going to be spoons. They're going to call them spoons.
Yeah, they're going to spoon the blockchain.
This is too funny. But I guess in some bright news, who couldn't be with us today, unfortunately, he's stuck with some work obligations, is telling us that Finex is planning to roll out Segwit sometime next week. So finally, with the Bitcoin gold distraction dealt with, hopefully before they figure out their plan for Bitcoin Clashic, we're going to get Segwit live on another exchange. If you've got anything to add to that, Janine or Rick?
It's a great exchange to be adopting Segwit. I mean, like Bitfinex is one of the largest exchanges there is. So, I mean, like that would definitely help with their, supporting Segwit. I mean, that's a large amount of volume on the network. So if they do that, roll out the adoption for it, then yeah, I could see that helping network congestion a lot. I mean, like that's what we were saying with Blockchain.info. If they were able to do the same thing, it would help a lot because they have so much of the network, being used on their platform.
Yeah, and I definitely think that, I think any company or exchange that was supporting Segwit, from the beginning, like Bitfinex was again one of the companies that did not sign the New York agreement, so they've been fully on board with Segwit, but not Segwit 2x this entire time. Obviously, they still listed the Segwit 2x tokens, but there wasn't a lot of support, as far as I know, at Bitfinex for Segwit 2x. But yeah, I definitely think it should have been adopted sooner, but have to do now is better than later.
These forks kind of leave all the exchanges up. So like up in the air, it's like Bcash just sort of split off on their own real quick, and it's just like okay, well now we got to deal with this, and it's funny just because we hear about this big Clashic being described as malicious and stuff. It's like, well, this is just the way these things play out. It's like, some of them have time frames, some of them just happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the silliest thing to me. Like Bitcoin Cash forked off of Bitcoin in what I would subjectively consider an incredibly malicious way. Really, as we showed you the other day, when Peter Razoon was actually talking about the intent to disrupt the Bitcoin network, EA was structured. Like this was done to disrupt Bitcoin, like intentionally. This narrative of no, it's our right to fork off, which it is, and there is nothing malicious about this. When they do it, it's not malicious. It's just them doing what they want to do. But when somebody continues mining the original chain, worked from anything, it's the original chain that was sitting right there, and doesn't follow their hard fork, it's malicious. I mean, the cognitive dissonance and the doublespeak in there is just mind-boggling. And I really have to ask, like, why is it malicious? Is it just because people didn't do what you told them to do? You're effectively making the claim there that you're in charge of Bitcoin Cash, that you're in control of it, that if people don't just do what you say, Bitcoin Cash, it's like it's ridiculous. It's like a complete double standard for everything, where it is flawless and not malicious in any way. It's perfectly okay. But whenever somebody else does the exact same thing, It's an attack. I mean, like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I believe there was a certain pirate party dude who said that they couldn't tell people what to do. They could only suggest it, and monkey see, monkey do. But sometimes monkey don't do.
Well, I mean, like, this is why I always talk about, like, it's like this, it's just this, like, economic computer science experiment, because you're right. It's like they decided to upgrade away from this EDA, and, you know, that chain is still there. Somebody can mine it. And, like, you know, who's to say that, you know, some guy has some node running it's never going to upgrade. And I mean, that's where it's like I'm starting to come on to this, you know, the idea of, like, can you and get the network to come over? And I don't know if that's really a possibility anymore, just seeing with things like this. And, you know, that's why this is great to see, is to see like somebody like Jahan and these guys. They're already so centralized, and they're doing this thing, and they're doing it, and they still can't get it. And yeah, you leave that economic incentive there on the table, somebody's going to pick it up. Somebody's going to say, hey, you know, there's an opportunity right here. I run a small exchange, I run a small wallet, I list this, I put this in there. Next thing you know, I'm big guy because I'm trading a bunch of this, you know, that people just left in the dark. They didn't think there was a reason for it. But as, like, you know, we could see that these Segwit 2x futures, they still got a price, and there's no coin out there with it. So yeah, I don't think it's malicious at all. I think that this is just the way this game plays.
Yeah, and I
it
just
goes
want
to show, like,
Go ahead.
a cryptocurrency is not just the blockchain. It's the rules. Because the minute those rules change, all of a sudden you're building a different blockchain. And like this is literally this is it. This is why people are not okay with just recklessly hard forking Bitcoin on no notice, because you will not hard fork Bitcoin. Derivative chain. And even with something as ridiculously centralized and small as Bitcoin Cash, hey, guess what? No, it didn't work fine. Whoever said that a day or two ago, this played out exactly like the Ethereum DAO hard fork. He didn't upgrade. No, everybody's not just going to blindly follow along. That's not how this works.
Yeah, and I also wanted to point out that this follows exactly in line with the warning that is implicit in monkey see, monkey do, where you don't think about the consequences when you copy something. And hey, look, the consequence is that you get karma where everyone wants to fork off your fork. And I have no idea how long Satoshi's true vision is going to last, but I want to remind everyone that Ethereum Classic began as a joke. It was all memes, and everyone thought it was going to die soon. And then they just had a symposium the other day.
Yep. And yeah, and I mean, kind of segue over into news, completely horribly. Why is it that all these companies who said that Segwit upgrading would take forever seem to be the only ones taking forever with it? I mean, like Ricky, you just mentioned a minute ago, Blockchain.info could do a load of good for the entire network, saving not only their customers money, but also everybody using Bitcoin money through the space savings that they provide. So why are they prioritizing supporting this shitcoin and not going to roll out Segwit support until Q1? That's pretty vague. That's a whole 3-month period. Q1 of next year. I mean, isn't this a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy? Nana, I told you that this would take forever. Oh, wait, I have to do something? I'm going to make it take forever. I was right.
I find it astounding because I've been using Segwit pretty much ever since it activated on the network, because, you know, a lot of wallets that I use, Trezor included, implemented it almost right away. Trezor is a hardware wallet, and they implemented it ahead of a web wallet. That just blows my mind.
But I think it goes to show that they really aren't. It's not like they don't have the technical proficiency to do it. They're just doing this because they want to drag their heels and get this Segwit 2x thing just like another shot, or they want to see how this Bcash thing plays out. They're leaving it so open to just pump Bcash or pump whatever they want to pump. It's really getting really, really scammy on that side, to the point to where it's just like, just fork off, like, just do your own thing. If you don't want to be a part of this network, then, just go ahead and implement nothing but ABC clients.
And I have a theory. One of the things they probably wanted to pump was Ethereum, and because Segwit 2x never happened, that pump never happened. So they're probably upset about that. What happened to trading Ethereum during the fork, guys? We lost that. Now we're going to make you suffer and put Segwit back 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, it's like such a... Sorry, Rick.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say that, yeah, it's something where they're trying to make some money in this interim while they're keeping things confused.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a direct conflict of interest. I mean, like, they are literally the problems that they're complaining about, demanding that other people do something to make those problems go away. I mean, it's insanely ridiculous. I like in a regulated space, they would probably be in jail. And I mean, this isn't a regulated space, and I hope it stays that way for the most part. That just means it's going to take longer until that reputation factor effectively has the same outcome that a regulator would. Their business is not going to survive if they keep blatantly causing problems for their causing problems for their customers, and then screaming about how somebody else should do to fix it. I mean, like when you lie over and over and over again in a room full of people who are trivially capable of verifying that's a lie, I mean, you're only going to get people to believe you for so long.
Yeah, I think it might be, a few years down the line, whenever Roger Vere's hiding up in the Congo, like Marlon Brando from Apocalypse Now, before people realize, like, this dude's nuts. He's just nuts. He's nuts. He's a scammer. Just stay away from him. He's gonna have that country,
Mm-hmm. And, random segue that Monkey is so horrible at. MimbleWimble Testnet. Woo! Woo! Yeah, everybody, it's here.
What?
Final.
Do you want me to take this one?
Go for it.
All right, so as we already said, testnet for MimbleWimble launched today, and as you may or may not already know, just to give some background on what MimbleWimble is, it was named after the tongue-tying curse from the Harry Potter series, and the original idea for MimbleWimble was actually submitted pseudo-anonymously to the Bitcoin Research IRC channel on August 2nd last year. And it was described as a blockchain with, or at least a blockchain protocol with a radically different approach to transaction construction, supporting non-interactive merging confidential transactions and full verification of the current chain state without requiring new users to verify the full history of any coins. If that last part went over your head, basically what it means is that you can verify the blockchain, but you have to store, you're required to store less gigabytes if you want to. And so Andrew Polstra then published a paper on the 6th of October, shortly after that, outlining further what it was and also fixing some mistakes that they found in what was submitted by the anonymous person. And it has been researched by numerous other parties ever since. And that protocol is now available for testing, and you can find more information at github.com/MimbleWimble.
Woo! I mean, this is going to be interesting, guys, because I mean, if there's anything out there that can give Bitcoin a legit run for its money, it's this. So I mean, let's see how this shit goes, and hope we can actually incorporate this into Bitcoin through a side chain or an extension block or something, and Harry Potter doesn't cause the downfall of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things in the mumble about it, just how it's possible it could bring fungibility to Bitcoin. And that's an important thing. So yeah, it's be a big day if that does go through.
I mean, like it's like MimbleWimble it's insane. It's literally done in complete Bitcoin fashion. Some random person, he dropped something there and then walked away, and it gives us perfect privacy and fungibility as well as better technical scalability. That is literally like having your cake and eating it too.
And also, it happened pretty fast. It went from being a proposal to a testnet in just over a year.
Yeah, it'd be great to see these things, these projects that we hear a lot about. It's good to see that, they're getting worked on. It's always a positive thing to see this sort of activity that's going to help the network in the long run and, improve in ways that I wasn't thinking of, or, not many other people were thinking of. So it's going to be interesting.
Alrighty, and I guess let's drop it back to Janine to tell us about the latest awesome news regarding Lightning Network.
Yes, it is definitely exciting news that just happened about 2 hours, or was announced 2 hours ago. So most of you have probably heard all those Bcashers whining about how the Lightning Network and other second layer stuff will not be available for years. Boo-hoo, some more as the price of their coin plummets to the ground. Well, today, Elizabeth Stark and the rest of the Lightning team announced that they have successfully completed an off-chain, cross-blockchain atomic swap of testnet Bitcoin and Litecoin using the Lightning Network. Now, why is this important? It means that it will soon be possible to, quote, build bridges between cryptocurrencies, making them more readily interoperable, and have a trustless, as in no custodian needed, multi-coin exchanges. And this is only possible because of segregated witness. If we had not gotten segregated witness, the so-called hack that, I don't know, moves signatures around, and it was also a malleability fix, and it was also a block size increase technically to 4 megabytes, in case anyone is confused about that fact. It seems a lot of people still are. But now future scaling efforts are now enabled. So that's great.
Yeah, that does sound great. Like this is the sort of thing, the sort of tech we need for these decentralized crypto to crypto exchanges, to where we can start trading without having to worry about where exactly we're I mean, like, I guess these off ramps is where you got to worry about, but like once you get your crypto, we can have these decentralized exchanges. It's going to be nice. And yeah, the Lightning cross chain atomic swaps, like I could see that being used in exchanges and other ways where it's going to definitely help the network. This is all good stuff that's going to help our network.
And one thing I want to point out, or two things actually. First being, anybody who is watching my cursor circle around Lightning Labs in that article, that's the company that's developing Lightning Network, not Blockstream, folks. But as another note, though, the Lightning Network is not just applicable in this way across different currencies. In a future, if we actually start scaling things out utilizing side chains as well, atomic swaps will be a mechanism that's useful for moving side chains between the main Bitcoin chain and other side chains. It's just a protocol. It is a universally applicable protocol that can be implemented in some way on any chain that supports either check lock time verify, check sequence verify, and hash locks to actually lock a transaction to a random piece of data's hash. Chain that can do those three things or the equivalent of them will be able to implement this protocol and become interoperable with that can implement that or an equivalent protocol. Like this, people like Craig Wright like to spin a bunch of crazy nonsense about how one from him is that Lightning is going to somehow turn Bitcoin into banks where you get loans with Bitcoin. Not really sure how that's going to work, seeing as a Lightning channel requires you to have Bitcoin to open it. But yeah, this is a tool in a toolkit that will allow us to do amazing things with cryptocurrencies. Yeah. We're going to take over the fucking world, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to see these things in action whenever Craig Wright's still talking that trash and like people are saving money and transacting on the network with these second layer solutions. And I don't know, maybe we could finally start to put some of these conspiracy theories to rest about how this is all about profit motive and all this other nonsense. So it'll be great maybe at this time next year when we're going against these government forks and we got these tools working on mainnet. Maybe.
So, guess what, guys? Bitcoin Clashic is still going strong. We found 7 blocks as we progress away from the malicious fork by Jihan and crew to steal Satoshi's true vision.
True vision.
Yeah, true.
It's too many accents, guys. I can't hybridize all the accents.
Do you have the really cool graphic that was made today with Sean Connery in it?
I have to look it up.
I can get it.
But
yeah,
while
Janine
while Janine searches for this this awesome logo that the Clashic folks have now, I would like to point you guys to Pool B Clashic that is provided by an anonymous benefactor and currently running a whopping 70 terahashes on Satoshi's true vision at the moment. So yeah, I don't think this is going away. And I think that this is definitive proof that meme magic is in fact a real thing. And if you want something to happen in the world, you just have to start making memes and jokes and it'll happen. So keep clashy, people.
Well, yeah, man, this definitely had some support from the get, just because, like we were saying, this is really such an experiment to where when this happened, there's Bitcoiners that, I mean, like when Ethereum forked and ETC was around, there was a lot of Bitcoiners like myself who wanted nothing to do with Ethereum. But when ETC was around, it's like, well, wait a minute, this seems like something where it definitely makes an appeal to me, and it's not just the I don't know, the make Ethereum immutable thing. It's a meme, but it definitely gets me excited about it. And with the Clashic, I think it's really important. It's important that people see that there is like these underlying economic incentives that whenever you make a move and you think that the network's going to follow you, that if you leave something behind, somebody could pick that up and keep moving with it, and in all likelihood will.
What are actually the chances of reorg? Is that even possible at this point?
I am not actually sure. I would have to look at what was actually changed in the fork code as far as how it judges difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah, right now I think that whole reorg replay attack between Bclash and Bclashic and Bcash is still up in the air, and this is why it's important that I hope exchanges are paying attention to this and wallets, because yeah, I mean, quite don't know what all is going to play out here. This is still very fresh in this part of the game, and so yeah, hopefully they're taking notice and they're going to get ready to protect their customers' funds.
Yeah, I think the more interesting question versus reorg is, what are the exchanges going to do? I mean, they started trading something else on Clashic's ticker history. I mean, seems a little fraudulent to me.
I heard that Trezor said they already support it, because obviously Clashic is the original chain, so they already support if you have any coins and you want to hold those in Trezor wallets.
Yeah, that's great.
You just need to hook your Trezor up to a Bitcore instance running 15.1 from ABC.
And apparently Bitwalla may also be on board, except they're not very happy about the Sean Connery mascot, apparently.
You don't like the Connery coin?
their assertion that Roger Moore is a better James Bond is just objectively false. So I'm sorry, Bitwall, but you're just wrong. You're just wrong.
And then someone also suggested that Sean Connery, the actual Sean Connery, might be interested in a lawsuit for use of his image with a financial instrument.
I was thinking he'd be flattered, honestly. He'd probably make a joke about it.
Wait, his image with a financial instrument? His picture's not on the blockchain. It's on the memes.
Yeah, but I mean, his image being used to promote, a coin. He might not like that. We don't know. Someone was just joking about it.
I think, might not want to put Connery's face on the actual coins, but yeah, for right now, I like it. I think that the Clashic with Connery makes sense just because it's the accent that's supposed to be coming through. Who cares about who was the better James Bond way back in the day? It's about the accent, and yeah, when you say Clashic, you got to do that Clashic.
Yeah, but Wally, you're missing the point.
Well, I mean, if Sean Connery does decide to take legal action, it's a good thing that Clashic is more decentralized than these Jihan-led imposters.
And James Bond saying, well, maybe we should use Shatner, but I don't think Shatner would say Clashic like that. I mean, maybe in some verbose episode of Star Wars or Star Trek, but I don't know. William Shatner, I can't do that. But Clashic,
I think
it's Connery.
That Mr. Shatner would coin classic.
Right.
Rick,
That's the way to do it.
Rick, you probably just triggered a bunch of Star Wars and Star Trek fans with that comment.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. Like Star Trek.
All right. Well, Janine, you wanna take us into this bat story? Uh-oh.
Sorry about that. I was moving things around. I'm here. Okay, so any of you who are long-term followers of Chris and maybe me, if you remember earlier this year, we interviewed Brendan Eich about the BAT token, or the BAT, because actually BAT is basic attention token, before it even had a release date, when it was still just a white paper. And at that time, the token, and it ended up getting ICO'd a lot sooner than either of us expected when we did the interview. They were actually saying they were going to wait until they had the platform ready, and that was supposed to be ready like at least 6 months, if not a whole year after that interview. But they instead decided to do an ICO, which I wasn't particularly happy to find out, that they released their token prior to having an actual platform, because that was one of the reasons we interviewed them, is because they were actually going to have a ready product, and they already had a ready product actually at the time, which was the Brave browser. And they were also very near miss victims of one of the hacks that happened. I think that was another multi-sig hack that happened in July, but they almost lost all the BAT tokens. And during the interview way back when with Brendan Eich, he described Brave Payments, which encompasses both the Bitcoin wallet that they had already implemented and the upcoming BAT advertising system, as, quote, centralized but open, a centralized but open source reconciliation system. And the reason he described it that way is because the only content creators or publishers you would be able to pay through the Brave browser were the ones that had established a verified partnership with Brave. Obviously, that probably isn't going to scale very well. And obviously that would be a problem for things like YouTube, because in order for content creators on YouTube to join the BAT system, YouTube itself would have to become a verified partner. And so this was a major problem from my perspective, and also Chris's as well, probably, because the Brave browser's Bitcoin wallet was based off of ProTip, which is decentralized and allows you to pay any Bitcoin address, no partnership with ProTip necessary. And well, it appears that Brave has also recognized this as a problem, because today they announced that YouTube channels can now become a part of the basic attention token platform, independent of YouTube's participation as a whole. They say in their blog post, previously YouTube creators could not be listed as individual publishers in Brave Payments. This change allows BAT contributions to flow directly into their wallets, which is an Uphold wallet, by the way. The Brave browser determines the YouTube creator name from the YouTube video, no matter what site embeds it. It then displays it in the Brave Payments list, enabling the user to donate back on a monthly basis, which is standard for what they've been doing so far. And once a user enables Brave, so that this is something that has to be implemented both on the creator end and the user end. So the user has to enable Brave Payments in their Brave browser. Donations are done automatically and anonymously. It's really cool. They made sure that the BAT token is actually anonymous when you send it. The YouTube creator, you still have to go through a verification process with them through the OAuth standard, where you link your channel to an Upload wallet, but it doesn't sound any more complicated than what you would have to do to get monetized with AdSense. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, I'm not shilling the BAT token because I've never bought and I don't hold any ICO token ever. But I would say that this is the only one that I have been following, and I do find this interesting. I'm not completely sure if the economics of it is going to work yet, but if there's probably a lot of YouTube creators out there that would be willing to experiment with it, so I thought it was worth a mention.
Yeah, I was looking through it, when I saw it on the news desk, and noticed that the team, I was like looking through to see like where's the scammers, and I didn't really notice big scammers. I mean, like I noticed Zoku's on there, but I'm not gonna say like he's scamming 100%, but the names out there, it's Mozilla, and these people from Mozilla and AOL and Netscape, and like just seems like Yahoo, Silicon Valley people, to where I could see this doing something where like YouTube's paying attention to it and seeing how it works. And then like you're saying, I don't see this necessarily being what YouTube would prescribe to whenever they decide to do something like this. I think they would probably create something similar. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting project, and maybe season 3 Block Digest, we could fiddle around with it or see what's going on. And yeah, it's interesting, and I'll pay attention to it. And hopefully, some YouTube content creators will start getting paid, I guess, a little bit more efficiently.
See, like, I like this project and like where it was going, but I mean, I think they really jumped the shark when they decided to do an ICO and their own token. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
they definitely.
Yeah, sorry, but it's like the common thing in the space. Like everybody's time horizons are all fucked up. People are too impatient and thinking too short term, or they're not. It's like they're going too fast or too slow, or thinking too short term or too long term, and it's like everybody is incapable of finding that middle ground. Because I mean, like, I know Brave browser is having like some problems with fees as they've started going up. Network is literally right around the corner, and that would have alleviated like a lot of those concerns. And I mean, there's a number of things they could have done, like quasi custodial systems, like longer batching periods to kind of get a more efficient like distribution mechanism in the meantime. But I mean, like Lightning Network, when that rolls out, like what happens to their token? I mean, that's a whole new liquidity pool with all of its own issues and potential price slippage and valuation. And like when somebody comes in and plugs Lightning Network into something similar, and that's all being done in Bitcoin, like I think that pivoting to their own token is going to bite them in the ass at the end.
I don't think it was in any of the marketing material that the purpose of this was to do faster payments. I think they wanted to experiment with, because this whole advertising ecosystem is about, you pay attention to something, you never see any, you basically get your privacy invaded, you never see any of the money that's involved with it. The advertiser gets paid, the content creator gets paid sometimes. And so with this, they wanted to experiment with the user getting paid for, like, compensated for the attention that they're giving. They're trying to give a monetary value to attention, which is, I think it's an interesting thing to consider because it hasn't really been done before by anyone. But I still am not sure if the economics of that will work out. And yeah, I was disappointed that they did the ICO before the platform came out, but the platform did eventually come out. It's out now, so I'm just going to be watching it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like, I get the like double-sided aspect of like how they're trying to handle things, but like at the end of the day, like you can pay this out in Bitcoin. Like you can denominate things in Bitcoin. I mean, like if anybody here hasn't read app coins are snake oil from this Nakamoto Institute, I highly recommend you actually read that. But like when it comes to these kinds of products, like at the end of the day, I have not seen a single like app coiner, like token based application that you couldn't just out of drop Bitcoin in there and it would work just as well. And I mean, I feel like a lot of these companies that are trying to do things with their own token instead of actually thinking a little bit longer term about how to integrate Bitcoin into things, like that will bite them in the ass. Because when you have that different liquidity pool and demand starts drying up for it, somebody's going to get caught holding those bags. Like somebody is going to lose out in fiat terms in that instead of something like Bitcoin with a lot more healthy liquidity behind it. And like it just sucks because like I see like a project like Brave, which I think was a brilliant idea. I see something like that kind of shoot itself in the foot because they will do our own token.
Well, I'm kind of curious because I don't think they addressed it in the blog post. I would be curious to know whether they're offering the same option for YouTube creators that want to get paid in Bitcoin instead of the BAT, because I'm sure there would probably be a lot more YouTube creators who would be willing to get verified with Brave and then tell their users to use the Brave browser so that they could get paid in Bitcoin automatically every month.
And so do I. But I guess you wanna take us into this next piece on Bose that you have.
Was that me?
Janine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. No. Who was it?
Wait, what? The habit of
Wait,
It wasn't.
listening.
Bose
Oh,
speakers?
no, that was just part of the Brave thing. If anyone, I wanted to include that for anyone who wants to get a summary of the interview that we did with Brendan Eich earlier in the year.
I am brain dead. Okay, well, yeah, this is in the links for people who want to read. I highly recommend it, as Janine and the best writers in this space I've seen, aside from maybe Aaron or Kyle.
Thank you.
I guess you want to take this.
Truth.
I'm so bad at this coordinating thing. you want
No,
to
it's all right.
take
Let's go right into this other story because it does, cross past what we're talking about how these tokens and, they're being used for something that, it could be done on the Bitcoin network. And, so this article came out of CoinDesk and it's talking about how, American Express opened up a payment corridor with Ripple. And they talked to Ripple's global head of strategic accounts, Marcus Treacher, and he was saying that American Express has opened up a payment corridor using Ripple that can send money from England to the U.S. with a partnership from a Spanish bank, Santander. Sorry if I mispronounced that. But this corridor is connecting American Express customers in the U.S. and in the U.K. using dollars in the U.S. and British pounds in the UK. And they're going to move this all over the Ripple blockchain, RippleNet. And, this is really just a partnership right now. They haven't really moved much over that RippleNet. So far, they've been using this SEB, this Swedish bank SEB, to move 630 million between Europe and New York. And, I guess they've had success with that so far. So they want to move into their own Ripple token to actually start moving this currency. And, he goes on to say, he said, while the project is advancing and is able to transact in 9 seconds or less, according to Treacher, it is now restricted to what he calls a pure blockchain that doesn't require a cryptocurrency. What both these projects have in common is a direct connection, he said. There's no intermediary cryptocurrency. And, he does also say in there, in the same article, he says, he's trying to compare this to Swift. And he says that Whereas beforehand, American Express had to send Swift messaging to the banks to request the payment to happen. Now American Express is connected directly to the banks using Ripple and Ripple's cryptography so that the movement of value happens immediately. And I don't know, I just feel like we're talking about these tokens. It's something that could be used for Bitcoin. And whenever they talk about moving large volumes of money like that, you know, I would want it to be on a blockchain that I think you could effectively audit without a worry about, you know, is the audit correct based on, you know, the current climate in that token. So yeah, this is something where I feel like it's really just kind of like, it's not really important other than the fact that this is something that is kind of just like, I guess, testing grounds for something that Bitcoin could be used at a later point in time. But yeah, all these guys are trying to do this blockchain business as long as they can to, I guess, just make as much money as they can before people realize that we can do all this stuff.
Yeah,
I love
mean,
that. I love that CoinDesk describes itself as an independent news organization, and yet at the end of every article, they have to make a disclaimer about how their parent company is invested in all these companies that they're reporting on.
that is pretty funny.
It's like, disclosure, CoinDesk is a subsidiary of Digital Currency Group, which is invested in Ripple, blah, 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 all this. Everything we talk about. Sorry.
Ripple, it's like I could easily see some system like that being used as a back end for like a Swift 2.0. Idea of the Ripple token directly becoming a part of moving the money is kind of fucking silly. I mean, like that is just introducing an entire new liquidity pool with its own risks of slippage based on like market depths in certain places. I mean, I don't see that anytime soon, because you would effectively need to just micromanage and manipulate the exchange rate everywhere to minimize that risk of slippage. And I mean, it's a publicly tradable thing. Like they can't just the exchanges everywhere where people not involved in like a banking network using it or trading it. It's kind of foolish in my opinion. And Gugu and some others were talking about the Bitfinex posts in the chat, so I'm going to comment on this. I'm going to comment once. Like Chris, do not work for Bitfinex, so I have absolutely no ties to Tether, Bitfinex, or any company in this space. So I'm going to break this down very simply. Had banking troubles and were cut off from their banks. Right now, the only, and this is the similar situation to Tether, they do not have banking. Very small places like Taiwan, or local places that are very hard to get money to, and so only very big investors are capable of moving very large amounts of money. So when you see a shit ton of tethers printed at once, it's because somebody just moved fiat into these banks. These banks are very hard to get to and only really make sense for very large sums of money. You're only going to see very large amounts of Tether printed because only big whales can get their fiat into a bank so that Tether can actually issue new Tethers. Quite frankly, is a trader who sold at the bottom, wrecked, butthurt, and attempting to do anything he can to fuck with Bitfinex or any of these other exchanges that he wrecked himself on, because he just can't accept the fact that, hey, and I lost a bunch of money. So that's pretty much the long and short of the whole Tether situation and Bitfinex crazy ramblings.
That Bitfinex guy is gonna, you know, quiet down anytime soon.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really that simple. Like large amounts of Tether are being made because only large amounts of fiat can be moved to the banks. So I mean, we'll continue rambling. You should all continue ignoring him because he is a butthurt, crazy person who wrecked himself and just can't come to terms with that.
Yeah, the only thing I can make, or the only comment I can make on the matter is that I didn't read Bitfinex's post, but I believe the crux of argument time has been something about Bitfinex being insolvent, which obviously I don't know about because I don't work there. And the only thing that I've heard Chris say is that if they're somehow committing, they're insolvent. His argument was they are insolvent and they're somehow involved in fractional reserve banking with their one bank in Taiwan. And I believe a number of people have said that that's a very tricky workaround, and not, if they were trying to commit some kind of fraud, that's one of the hardest routes. So that's all I know about it.
Yeah, I don't really know much about it either, other than, I mean, it's a trading instrument that I think traders are used to whenever they understand, like, there's a dollar peg to this thing. They understand, like, okay, there's a tether and I use this and I can get in and out. I don't, like you're saying, you know, big whales use it. I haven't really used it. And, but, you know, I think it was just like a simple fix for something that people could understand to use easily. And, you know, like, especially like you're saying with the banking issues, like a workaround. So I don't know. Like, you're right. I think Bitfinex is just butthurt.
Yeah, it's literally, it's just a tool to arbitrage or hedge against the market in exchanges or markets where you don't have access to fiat. I mean, it's really that simple. And I mean, if you want to critique the wisdom or the possible legality of something like that, that's one thing. Ridiculous conspiracy theories that they're just being printed out of thin air is nonsense. But I guess we got one more story left. Who wants to take the Tom Peterffy?
All right, man. Yeah, I'll take the lead on this, I guess. It's just like this is a story that happened yesterday, or it was being talked about yesterday, how this guy, Thomas Peterffy, took out a page ad on Wall Street Journal, you know, just blasting the idea of CME futures and, you know, just like some really just some quotes out of this article real quick. It says, you know, he says that Thomas Peterffy, the billionaire founder and chairman of Interactive Broker, yeah, he says that he doesn't really mind Bitcoin, but you know, he insists that actually opposing the trading the cryptocurrency. He says that he just needs to stay away from the real economy, that, you know, quote, it could bring down the entire economy. Like he said that at the last line of that. Yeah. I don't know. It's comical to me and others that, you know, see these guys playing these armchair discussions about cryptocurrency. And I thought it was kind of funny. The response that the community had was, you know, the Bitcoin mom and that family there. I think, what's that guy's name with Zap? I'm sorry.
Jack Mallers.
Yeah, Jack Mallers. And those guys, they like, you know, wanted to take out a full page in Wall Street Journal with the color picture from our Bitcoin back in the day, talking about magic internet money. And I mean, like, they're getting some people together with the coins to do it because it's an expensive ad. It's like over $300,000, but they are putting it together. And, you know, there's definitely some comments in the whether or not to do it. Like, you know, should we really be sending people to Reddit? But I think it's just it's funny to see the community response to it, and you know, also just to see another one of these armchair crypto guys, like from the legacy markets, talking about crypto, and it's just yeah, it's kind of comical, and that's, I mean, the only reason it's on the news desk was because of the reaction to it. Really, like you know, I don't really put much in what this guy's saying as far as like CMEs being a disaster and Bitcoin blowing up the economy, like quantitative easing and, you know, all that stuff that could blow up the economy. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, here's actually Jack Mallers' dad's response to this whole piece, where he pretty much discusses that if a clearinghouse's capital falls beneath the levels required to clear everything, then they'll other firm that does. And he literally goes on a little rant about how this has actually functioned multiple times during market crashes or, you know, market problems in the past, and pretty much calls this entire thing just FUD. I mean, if wild swings will bring the entire economy down simply because one thing is traded at the same place as others, well, a lot of food items to point you at that aren't probably going to be doing so well in the coming decade or two, just because of ecological and certain areas. So I mean, if that was true, there's a lot more things than just Bitcoin to worry about bringing down the entire market.
Yeah, just sounded like the FUD straight out of his brain. He was just, he probably just looked into Bitcoin a little bit and then just said, all right, that's it. This is going to bring down the economy. And now I'm going to go on CNBC and say it and take out a full Wall Street Journal ad. Man, these guys really just need to start digging into this a little bit more before they start commenting.
I mean, it's really like, you know, how stable is the economy if big financial figures like this say, oh my God, Bitcoin, it'll kill the economy if you let big money get into it. I mean,
hurt his payday, I guess.
So has anybody got any final thoughts to wrap things up with? Any during the show?
Just that I can't wait for Baltic Honey Badger.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice conference. I saw the lineup there. It's pretty impressive.
No ICOs allowed.
Yeah, I'm kind of jelly. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I guess if that's no extra thoughts, guess we'll call it a wrap today, people. I'm going to be putting down my iron fist today. Liking and subscribing is not optional. Stay clashy.